Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of The Rundown, where we promise to bring you 2A views of conservative news. I'll be your host for today's program. My name is Mike Poworski. I am your host from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most from the host with the most, here on a very special edition, Wednesday edition of The Rundown.
And I will be your co host today. My name is Craig DeLuz. I'm coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras, in the state known in free America as California. And it is a pleasure to be here with you on this special edition, once again, Wednesday, Hump Day edition of The Rundown.
Hope day.
Uh-oh. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Uh-oh. Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's hump day.
Hump day?
You gotta
For those,
love.
for those that are not familiar, we have the remix there because the regular commercial that we used we got pulled off of a couple of websites for copyright infringement, right?
Exactly. So by using the remixed version, no one messes with us with the remixed version. So we use the remixed version of Hump Day.
We so far we've been able to get around it. So, Craig, let's talk the second reason why it's a very special day here. And I didn't realize until talking to you right before we went on airtime. This is more of a it's more of an East Coast holiday than it is a West Coast holiday. You guys don't really celebrate the Groundhog Day out there.
Honestly, when I was a kid, it was kind of a thing. But honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, okay. We number one, I don't know that we have groundhogs out here. I'm not saying we do. I'm not saying we don't. But
Right.
but then again, also there's the whole sticking its head out of the ground and seeing its shadow and hiding again. I'm just like, it's almost like every day in California, you stick your head out of the ground. Yet Democrats are still in control, and you stick your head back in because it ain't worth being outside sometimes.
So you got the lands of fruits and nuts out there every day, as opposed to just February 2nd every year with the groundhog.
Exactamundo.
Well, listen, what I'd like to do for those out on the West Coast that are uninformed or just choose not to be informed, whatever it is give you a couple of stories about the groundhog. We got some groundhog issues going on over here on the East Coast, so maybe even get a little trivia on the movie, the Groundhog Day, when we get there. Craig, the first story I want to talk about is this story out of that was at the Philadelphia Inquirer. There with it talks about Punxsutawney Phil. For those that don't know, Punxsutawney Phil is the name of the groundhog there in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Now, when he comes out of the ground, and Greg, I guess he sees his shadow, and that means 6 more weeks of winter. And I never understood that. I always thought it would make more sense if he came out of the ground and saw no shadow. That would mean it's cloudy and he doesn't see a shadow. But if it's sunny, he'd see a shadow. Wouldn't that mean if it's warm and we don't have to do 6 more weeks of winter?
Well, that would make more sense, except that if he doesn't see a shadow, there's nothing to scare him.
Oh, so it's the scared of the shadow part.
Yeah.
I get it. So you can't be scared and it be spring. So I guess I don't know.
It's an East Coast thing, man. You can't put that one on me. I don't know. I don't get it, so I don't explain it.
Groundhog brain and figure out what's going on.
Getting to groundhog brain.
So while checking out some facts for what's going on in the world of groundhogs, I found that there's another groundhog there in New Jersey. I didn't realize that New Jersey had special groundhogs. I thought it was just Punxsutawney Phil there. And by the way, Punxsutawney Phil did get his name from the local weatherman back in the day, whose name was also Phil, kind of like in the movie. So, Milltown Mel in New Jersey there has shuffled off his mortal coil, by the way. A little good Shakespeare reference for you there. Milltown Mel passed away. So he is, I guess he's no longer going to be able to provide Milltown. I guess they must have a backup. They got to have a backup groundhog, I would think. You can't have a whole holiday planned around, one rodent, right? You gotta have some backups ready to go.
Well, I got to imagine that these things have a limited lifespan, so I got to assume yes, they probably do have backups. And I think this is not the original Milltown Mel. I got to think that he's died a few times and has been reincarnated, or they're covering it up, which, as you know, is not uncommon to cover up deaths in New Jersey.
Well, yeah, really. I like how you say it's a limited lifespan, like he's an old VCR or something like that.
Why? I want to say, look, nobody, including no groundhog, gets out of this world alive. Put it that way.
That's true. So doing my research, I found that there's more than just Milltown Mel in New Jersey as groundhogs. By the way, Milltown Mel, you know how he determines, Craig, if it was going to be 6 more weeks of winter?
I'm almost afraid to ask.
He would crawl out of the sewer and see if there was anybody wearing Bon Jovi T-shirts. That way he knew if there was going to be 6 more weeks of winter.
That sounds so New Jersey.
That's it. There's Newark Ned. I don't know if you're about Newark Ned, the groundhog.
Another New Jersey groundhog.
Another New Jersey groundhog predicting weather. Yes.
Okay.
He would pop out of a dumpster and see if he saw any Camaro IROC Z's with the windows down.
Wow. Okay.
So the windows down would be nice weather. And then finally, Rutgers Rick. I guess he's more of a party groundhog down there at Rutgers. He'd come out of a manhole cover to see if there were any co-eds puking in the alley. So,
well, there you go. There you go.
See if they're in the alley. It's nice weather. So, they're outdoors. Anyway, there you go. There's a couple of Groundhog Day facts for you.
I got nothing for you, Mike.
Talking about the movie, Craig. We have to talk about the movie. Have you seen the movie The Groundhog Day?
Yes.
Craig, best thing I've seen so far. Looking this up, and I love to see this every year. Is people love this movie? All right, it's become obviously a cult classic. It's made its way into the top 10 comedy movies of all time.
Yep.
And psychological thrillers of all time, right? And they want to see a number 2. They want to see a second Groundhog Day movie. So the studio has toyed with the idea of promoting a second Groundhog Day movie for an entire year, and then when Groundhog Day comes around, just play the original movie.
There you go. That's the way to do it right there. Just play the original movie.
Just release.
Maybe put it in 4K HD. There you go.
Yeah. Did you see the movie theater about halfway through? People would be like, "Is this the same one? Is this the same movie?
This is the same movie, right?" I mean, unless Bill Murray just got younger. I mean, and they do articles about how they CGI'd him and they made him look younger for the sequel.
The old Luke Skywalker style there.
There you go. Now it's starting to sound like an April Fool's movie.
That's it. Yeah, we have that. That's the Democrat Party there. Let's see. We have. Do you know how many days? Can you guess how long Phil was stuck in the movie there?
Well, I'm gonna guess. I know it had to be, at a minimum, it had to be a year, because there were just too many things that he knew how to do. For example, he knew how to play. I don't know if he just knew how to play that song on the piano or if he just knew how to play the piano. But it takes a while for you to become an expert at something. So I'm assuming it had to be at least a year. Anyway, that's my guess.
Listen, there's it's the internet, right? So you get a million sources, but the actual number of days shown on film was somewhere between 34 and 43. The reason for the discrepancy is at the one point where he talks about the different ways he committed suicide, some people counted as individual days, and some counted them as just one day.
Okay.
But looking at it, when they talked to director Harold Ramis, who had a lot to do with the interpretation of the screenplay, he guessed it was somewhere around 10 years that Phil was stuck in this causality loop or whatever, time loop, whatever you want to call it. Since then, Craig, are you familiar with the 10,000 hour skill learning concept?
Yes, I am.
Okay. A lot of trainers use it now, especially in our firearms industry and the self-defense industry, that it takes 10,000 hours to develop that muscle memory.
Right.
Going back and re-examining, and even talk to Harold Ramis before he passed away back in 2014, talking about that 10,000 hour skill learning concept. He said that it would probably have to be somewhere between 30 and 40 years then. Wow. With the experts have put together, again, these are the internet experts, right? The movie experts. It seems to be the consensus is that he was stuck in there for 33 years, 350 days.
Okay, so to become an expert, and I'm trying to remember the things he seemed like he was really, really good at. Now, the only reason why I say I don't know that he's an expert piano player is because he may have just learned that one song.
He may have. So I remember. So he learned piano, right?
He took
Didn't he learn,
piano lessons. That's right. I forgot.
right? Didn't he learn French literature?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Wow.
Right.
Okay. Right.
Wasn't he also known as Dr. Phil? Didn't he learn? It's more of an honorary title.
You're making some great points, sir. You're making some great points here.
There's a lot of. Didn't he do ice sculpting? Remember?
Wow. Well, in some case, but like I said, now here's where I will undo it. So if everything happened the same, he didn't have to learn everything about playing the piano. He just had to learn how to play that song. In terms of ice sculpting, he didn't have to become an expert ice sculptor. He had to learn how to make that one sculpture. And in terms of being a doctor, he already knew what ailments he was going to be asked about. He just had to respond to those particular ailments. So you can question whether or not he became an expert in those fields or regarding those specific things that he did.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Yeah, listen, I've got not one to argue with this. And what's to say he didn't take 4 different lessons in 4 different fields in the same day? You know,
right?
It have to be all in the same day. So,
and already we've spent entirely much more time on this
on the Groundhog Day. All right. Well, I'll let you take hilarious. The next one. We'll shuffle off to the next one. I'll let you.
That's funny how the mind works. Though it's like we get caught up and we start digging ourselves into intellectual holes that really don't have a lot of relevance to the real world.
Well, it's Groundhog Day. Of course that's relevant to the real world.
Alrighty. Well, hey, let's go ahead and move on to our next story then. You want to go ahead and introduce that one?
Sure. I thought that was your story, but we'll take it. I'll take it right here. Whoopee, everybody. It's just fun to say. Whoopee. I remember when she was relevant back in was it the early 90s? I think she was important then. Actress. She did some decent movies, and Star Trek. I think she was on with the new guys, with the new series of Star Trek. So let's see here. She has a way of putting her foot in her mouth, and we hear her say things, and we always wonder why hasn't she felt the wrath of the stupidness that when she says some incredibly stupid things, whether it's political against the president or the former president. Or racial and ethnic sensitivity items that she said, and she's gotten off pretty scot-free up until now. Well, this past couple of days, I guess she made some comments about our Jewish friends. And are you familiar with what she said there, Craig?
Yes, she actually made the statement that that the Holocaust wasn't about race. Right? She said it wasn't about race because she sees Jewish people as white people. Let me clarify. That's what she said in her apology. And her apology was she didn't mean to offend anybody, but she doesn't see being Jewish as a race. So she didn't see it as a racial issue. And apparently not just her initial comments, but her apology has gotten her in a bit of trouble and brought to some discipline.
Yeah, listen, even when she was on the View there, as she started to say this, you could see some of the other women on the show, including, I believe, Joy Behar. I believe she's Jewish as well.
Right.
You could see all of them doing the whole, we're not with her. We're not with her. She's making these comments on her own. And as she like you said, as she tried to walk it back, she tried to say it was it was an ethnicity, it was a religious group, but that it wasn't a race. And I guess she forgot about Hitler's plan for the master race, and that the Jewish race was not going to be part of it. And hence the wearing. I think what else did I see that in the excuse was, well, this is why we put the yellow stars on them, because we couldn't be sure of their race. We had to do some examining first before we knew what their race. I think that was actually
because you should be able to look at somebody and tell their race. Now, I will give you a great example. People look at me and the first thing they think is, oh, he's Latino or he's Hispanic. Yet I have not an ounce, not a drop of, I've never done the 23andMe, so I can't say I don't have an ounce, but I am, my paternal mother was Italian. My paternal father was black, so I have no Latin blood in me, or at least as far as I know. And my heritage, my background is not Latino. So, no, you cannot always tell what race someone is by looking at them.
Don't believe him, folks. I've seen him drink tequila before. He definitely has some Latin in him. So.
All right. Well, anyway, so
between
between her apology and between her original statements and her apology, well, it got her suspended from. Well, I was going to say suspended like the rundown from YouTube, but we've actually just been banned from YouTube. So, there you go. But yeah, it says effective immediately. I am suspending Whoopi Goldberg for 2 weeks for her wrongful comments, yada, yada, yada. Now, Mike, you had an interesting take on this that, once again, they're trying to cover it all up. But there's one thing that they forgot to point out about this little sabbatical that they are requiring her to take.
Yeah, when they sent her on her little apology tour, and her little apology tour included going to one or two other, New York-based shows. But when they sent her on her apology tour, they forgot to mention that she was already going on vacation. That's why she was going on those shows starting her vacation. And when she screwed up the apology, they turned the vacation into an unpaid vacation. So they're calling it a suspension now rather than she was going on a previously scheduled vacation. So yeah, it's they're jumping, stepping it back. They're doing the best they can. Craig, here's the alarming part to me. Here's a woman that we put up, and she has been ever since she was involved and started making movies and TV shows. She's been a poster child for African Americans and racial discrimination and the rights of different peoples and everything like that. So she's been kind of the poster child because she was black, right? Is the reason why. And now we find out that she's small brained. Okay, her whole idea of race was me and everybody else. And that's what she said multiple times. She goes, I've always seen race as me because I'm black, and then everybody else because they're not black. She has no concept of anybody else except for her and her difficulties and her people's problems in the past and whatever is going on currently. She's never examined anybody else but herself. She's been a self-centered, grandiose attention whore the entire time.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of obvious to me, at least to me, that she's always kind of been like that. This goes back to the whole, shut up and sing concept. She is at one point in her career, she was a brilliant stand-up comedian. And as an actress, as a comedic actress, and even in some serious movies, she has proven to be an exceptional talent. But what she is not is a political commentator. What she is not is an intellectual force. She, with oftentimes, in particular during her time on The View, has simply done nothing more than display her bigotry, her ignorance, and in many cases her stupidity with every word that she utters. And while I believe that there are groups of people out there who think like she thinks, that doesn't mean that the way they think is right.
Yeah, absolutely right. I couldn't have said it better myself. So I'll leave it there and just hand it off to you for the next story.
Right. Well, okay. So you guys are wondering, so what is the French Laundry Part 2? Okay. Well, there's a governor in the state of California, or as they like to call it in here in the Golden State, we call it California. But his name is Gavin Newsom, otherwise known as Gavin Mussolini, who at near the beginning of the pandemic, or at least somewhere near the beginning, a lot closer than we are right now to the beginning, he had an instance where he had put out a statewide mask mandate, said that, if you're eating at an indoor restaurant, if you're gathering with a number of people, you're supposed to wear a mask. Well, he went to this very expensive restaurant with a bunch of lobbyists. When I say very expensive, I mean it's crazy expensive, and it's called the French Laundry. It's in the Napa Valley, which is a very expensive area of California, and he was photographed a number of times sitting there, or sitting, standing, talking, eating, or not even really eating, but just sitting, standing, talking without wearing a mask. And then afterwards, he said he had to say, well, he came up with all sorts of excuses why he was not wearing a mask, right? Even though he had put in place a statewide mask mandate. Now, fast forward to the NFC Championship game, which took place last weekend. He was photographed there at the game, once again with Magic Johnson not wearing a mask. And so in a press conference or in an interview with the media, he decided to say, well, I was wearing a mask most of the time, but I took the mask off because, I didn't want to, I did it as a courtesy, right? To Mr. Johnson so that we could take a photo. Well, as it turns out, Mike, it wasn't much of a courtesy because there were numerous photos that were taken. In particular, one by a Rams fan that's now making the rounds where he was in fact not wearing his mask. Let me see. I'm going to try to see if I can fast forward this video here so that you can see it. But there was one where he was literally just not wearing his mask. Where's it at? Come on. I don't see it anywhere here in their conversations. But anyway, there were a number of photos. Oh, there it is right there. So there it is, you see. Now there's another photo with him once again not wearing a mask. And he said he did it to be gracious, Mike. Now, I loved the way someone else posted this and they said, yeah, here's Gavin Newsom being gracious once again. And Mike, what gets me the most about this is just how, you think of the number of left-wing politicians who have put things in place and demanded that we comply with these quote-unquote safety regulations and then turned around and ignored them themselves. And then to think about the high number of those folks who actually have come from California, whether it's London Breed or Eric Garcetti, two mayors in California, whether it's Nancy Pelosi or Dianne Feinstein or Gavin Newsom or even our Vice President, Kamala Harris. It just seems that California liberals seem to think that the rules don't apply to them.
Oh, they are definitely bred in the Orwellian speak of some pigs are more equal than others. This is clear that this is a liberal hypocrisy at its best. What rules apply to the common folk do not apply to them, and that applies everything from wearing the masks to, guess what, folks, carrying a firearm or having people around you with firearms in California. If you better bet your ass that they're not sitting in that booth without 3 or 4 armed guards protecting them, because they are more important than you, the peant that must wear their mask and cannot get a concealed firearms permit.
Right. I wanted to share this with you. So this is a little video clip. Let me replay it. So this is a little video clip. So this wasn't just for the photo, because as you see, even when he approaches him, look, he didn't even have a mask on when he approached him, Mike. So
yep.
The fact is that the worst part about this is that it is multiple things. Number one, he broke the rules, right? Number two, he broke his own rules, right? And then number three, when he got caught, he lied. Flat out lied to the American people, or to the people of California. And the worst part about that is, Mike, is he's probably going to get away with it.
This guy makes 5-year-old tactics look perfected. Lie, deny, make counter accusations. That's what he does all day long. Lie, deny, make counter accusations. That's your governor. And folks, guess what? You had the opportunity out there in California to recall him within the past couple of months, and you did not. So good on you. You keep him. He's all yours, and we hope you get to keep him forever.
And Mike, the worst part is that he's up for re-election, and because of the recall, he's built a huge war chest. And the question now is, who's going to challenge him?
Yeah, enjoy him. And just so you know, when it comes back around to after the midterms here, and the House and the Senate go back to Republican control, and when he comes crying to them looking for money to bail his crappy policies out, you're not getting it. So you're not getting it. So it's great.
Not going to happen.
Enjoy the spin as you go down the toilet bowl.
Exactly. All right, Mike. Hey, I think this next one is yours, buddy.
Groundhog Day, Craig. It is the 2nd of February, and it is Groundhog Day. And you know, I didn't realize, Craig, this is more of an East Coast holiday than it is out west. There, I didn't until we went on the air. I didn't realize that this is not something you guys really celebrate out there.
No, with the liberal leadership we have here in California, it's like every day is kind of Groundhog Day. You pop your head up out and see, oh, liberals are still in control. Yeah, duck your head back down. That's just kind of how it is out here.
In the lands of fruits and nuts, it's all the same.
Exactly. We don't have groundhogs. We got fruits and nuts.
I wanted to give you being Groundhog Day, give you some a little Groundhog Day history, maybe some Groundhog Day facts. And I wanted to start. I was looking up information out about Punxsutawney Phil. Punxsutawney Phil is the groundhog out of Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. And now, Craig, I've always been a little confused because they say if he comes out and sees his shadow, that means 6 more weeks of winter. But I don't know. I would think that if you saw your shadow, it would be the sun would be out, right? And then wouldn't it not be 6 more weeks of winter if the sun was out?
Well, yeah, but see, if there's no shadow, there's nothing to be scared of, so no reason to go back in the hole.
Oh, so it's the scared of the shadow thing.
Yeah, just like we're yeah, that's kind of how it works.
I'm sorry, I've never been in the brain of a groundhog before. I don't know. I don't know.
Not sure groundhog brain. You have to have a brain of a groundhog, or at least live on the East Coast to get it.
So Punxsutawney Phil, actually named after the local weatherman from back in the day that came up with this idea. The same as in the movie there with Bill Murray, who's the meteorologist named Phil. I did learn that as I was researching this, there's another groundhog up there in New Jersey, in Milltown, New Jersey, Milltown Mel, and he has shuffled off the mortal coil there for a little Shakespearean reference for you. Milltown Mel, he's passed away. Now, I mean, you think they got more than one? I mean, it's kind of bad that he dies the day before Groundhog Day. I mean,
well, Mike, I have to assume that seeing is how they tend to have a limited lifespan.
like he's a VCR or something.
Well, look, hey, I don't care. No person or animal or groundhog is going to get out of this world alive.
Well, especially in New Jersey, nobody's getting out of it alive, right? So I did some research, Craig, and there's actually a number of other of groundhogs in New Jersey that I had no idea. Anyway, Milltown Mel, you know how he would tell if it was 6 more weeks of winter.
I'm almost afraid to ask.
He would crawl out of the sewer and see if he saw anybody wearing a Bon Jovi T-shirt.
That is so New Jersey.
If it's a T-shirt, it's nice out. There's a Newark Ned,
another New Jersey groundhog. Okay.
He would pop out of a dumpster and see if there are any Camaro IROC Z's with the windows down.
Wow.
They had, and then finally there's Rutgers Rick, who's he's more of a party groundhog from what I can tell.
Right.
He'd come out of a manhole cover and see if he saw any co-eds puking in an alley. So, I guess if you could go into the alley, it's not covered with snow. It must be nice. So let's move on to the movie, Craig. You've seen the movie for Groundhog Day.
Yes.
The most interesting thing, exciting fact that I've seen is people love this movie so much that they want a sequel to this movie. And the theater, the movie production studio has often toyed with the idea of producing Groundhog Day 2, or promoting it for a whole year, and then on Groundhog Day just release the original movie again.
I can see that. Maybe you just upgrade it to like 4K.
You see people halfway in the movie, they'd be like, "Is this the same movie? Is this the?"
They'd be like, "Wow, look at the CGI they used to make him look so young."
He's so young. He looks like the Skywalker kid. Let's see here. How long do you think, Craig, that he was in the movie for?
All right, so I had to guess at least a year, because you have to figure, there are a lot of things that he learned how to do over and over again. So you got to figure he had to spend a decent amount of time doing, like, for example, like playing the piano, or at least playing that song. So I'm gonna guess at least a year.
It varies on the internet. Now, from the actual days you see on screen, it varies from 34 days to 43 days. And the difference being there's one point when he recites all of the ways he killed himself. Some people count those as individual days. Some say they're regular days. Now that's the on-screen, days. Now
Right.
they talked to Harold Ramis, the director, before he passed away back in 2014, and he said, remember he had a significant role in bringing the screenplay to the big screen, and he said he estimated about 10 years.
Okay.
Of it. Now, Craig, are you familiar with the 10,000 hour skill learning concept that's pretty popular
yes,
now?
I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, we know firearms instructors, the self-defense instructors, tactics instructors, they use this now. It's basically 10,000 hours that are needed to obtain muscle memory. And having added that into it, they actually went back to Harold Ramis and explained that to him, the 10,000 hours to acquire and become proficient at certain skills. And he said, well, then the movie would probably be closer to 30 to 40 years. And that seems to be the consensus on the internet is 33 years, 350 days. So just 2 weeks short of 34 years there is how long Phil was stuck in his causality loop or his time loop there.
Well, okay, but in some of those cases, I mean, did he really become an expert, or did he just, for example, become an expert at that one thing? For example, like playing the song. He only really had to learn that one song or become an expert at that one song. The other stuff, I guess he became an expert at a bunch of different stuff, if I recall.
Well, let's see. There was like French poetry, right? He learned to speak French and could quote poetry. There was medical, right? Wasn't he Dr. Phil? Wasn't he known as Dr. Phil there at one point?
Mm-hmm.
There was he had a couple of different skills. Ice sculpting, right? He did that.
But okay, but here's the thing though. Did he really have to learn ice sculptor just how to do that one sculpture? Did he have to become a doctor, or did he just need to learn? Because he already knew what they were going to ask him medically, what he needed to solve. So did he just become an expert in solving that one thing? We don't really know that.
Yeah, and listen, I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing. What's to say that he didn't take 4 lessons of 4 different things in one day, as opposed to just one per day? It's just I think it's just interesting to try and get into the whole discussion and have it.
And yet we have spent more time on this than any rational, normal person would.
Well, we will do it then. We'll just wish everybody a happy Groundhog Day, and we'll get ready to move into the parting shot here as we get ready to depart the program. So let's just go ahead and let's take a look and see what look at it. It's
quarantine day again.
It's Phil. It's quarantine day again. 33 years and 350 days of it, right? Maybe that's what we're looking at. Craig, right now it is, you have, folks, if you're doing the math, you've entered, you're entering week number 99 of the 2-week shutdown. That's 99 the 2-week shutdown. So when Phil says, it's quarantine day again, here's what you need to know. Week 99 of the 2-week shutdown. Remember, because this happened right about, the 2-week shutdown began right about St. Patrick's Day, middle of March. So we're just 5-6 weeks away, which makes sense because 252 plus 52, 104 minus 5, 99. So week 99. There you go.
Exactly. Mike, it is amazing that the worst part is that when you look at the things that some of these folks are trying to put in place, we know so much more now than we did then. And yet we are still, in many cases, let me clarify, those on the left are still making the same mistakes that they made back then.
Absolutely right. And they're gonna continue to double down on them, right? Because they don't want you to know they were wrong. They don't want you to know that they did things. They rather enjoyed the control. So guess what? Week 99 of the 2-week shutdown.
It kills me to watch some of these people, like at the gym, they brag about, we wiped down everything and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, you do know you can't spread it on it doesn't spread on surfaces, right? You do know that. Right. That was debunked a long time ago, right?
Right.
You do know that masks, cloth masks are useless against Omicron, right? You do know that, right? Anyway. It is frustrating because so many of the things that we know now to not be true are still acted upon by those on the left. And
the brainwashing of the sheep. It's the brainwashing of the sheep.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But, it is what it is. That's why we exist, to help reveal the truth in the world and help people to better understand and live their lives in freedom, much the way our sponsors encourage us to do.
That's right. Through truth, justice, and the American way. It's guerrilla machining, our good friends over at Grid Defense, and then, of course, the California Republican Assembly. We thank them all and hope that you reach out to them and support them the way they support you, supporting us to support them.
Exactly. So please make sure their links, all of their links are in the description. Whether you're watching us or you're listening to us, all the links to their websites are there. Go there, check out their products. I promise you will like what you see, and you're going to want to order a little something, and make sure you let them know that the folks over at The Rundown sent you. Same thing with the California Republican Assembly. Yes, there are Republicans in the state of California. There are conservatives, and we're fighting the good fight and could definitely use your help, your support, and your membership. So once again, please remember, like, share, subscribe to the program. Let everybody know that The Rundown is the place to get your 2A news along with your conservative views. We'll be back tomorrow on Thirsty Thursday. Holler at you.
Happy Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day.